Yeah, it was just open right when we got here and it looks like nobody's there. Hello, is anyone here? All right, we're coming in. I'm not really that nervous. I mean, you always, anytime you knock on someone's door, and obviously I've knocked on thousands of doors, the only thing that I'm a little nervous about is we know there's been drugs, and so I don't want to show up and have some crazy person with a knife or a gun or something like that. But I think the odds of that happening are low, just because that doesn't happen very often. So we're going to see what happens. Usually my management company takes care of everything, but we've got this tenant that has been a total pain in the butt. And I guess this guy has been caught with drugs down in the basement. There have been tons of complaints from the tenants that aren't even ours, that are next door, that tons of crazy parties have happened and that they're leaving crap out in the neighbor's yard. There have just been complaint after complaint. Somehow this tenant has managed to stay in the property for now 4 months while getting free rent, while doing all of this other garbage. I'm hoping I can go and sell them on letting us go and sit down and get their side of the story and kind of just do an interview. So we're gonna go see if we can pull it off. I don't know if it's actually gonna happen. The way the eviction process works, you've got to give them 30-day notice, and then once they've not, held to getting out within the 30-day notice, then you've got to go and serve them. And you've got to have a third party serve them the papers saying that they have a court date. And what's been really hard with them is getting them to answer the door so they can be served. We don't think this is their first rodeo because they've definitely run us through the hoops a lot when it comes to getting them served. We're driving over there right now to see what happens. So in like 60 seconds, can you give us a rundown of all of the crap that I guess that you've had to deal with these tenants over the last couple months?
Tenants decide not to pay rent. That's pretty standard stuff. Maintenance, little things come in, you scrape all the mold off the ceiling, you paint the whole bathroom, you clean the drains or sinks, you get everything running perfectly, you get a brand new water heater put in, you have neighbors move out upstairs because of the noise and the orgy parties going on downstairs, and then you find out upstairs they've been in the house, they took some food out, and they stole the water pipes from underneath the kitchen sink.
I forgot about that.
Reason, then their power gets shut off because of lack of payment on that side. So they bust the door in between the two apartments and plug their cord into the outlet inside the upstairs unit apartment.
I forgot they were stealing electricity too.
Yeah. Then the cops show up on their own because they see suspicious activity, and they find marijuana downstairs, take a giant bag full and a brown sack of marijuana and paraphernalia.
Thanks so much, man. Enjoy the night with your family knowing you're just about done with it. Maybe we'll do a quick recap of everything that Jay said, if you couldn't hear it. So they haven't been paying rent. They've been having orgies in the basement, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. We actually had really good tenants upstairs that we lost because of all the issues in the basement. They broke into the upstairs and stole some of the pipes. They also found a way to steal electricity from upstairs because their electricity has been shut off. They've had the cops called on them for different issues from the neighbors, and like he said, they found drugs, paraphernalia, other stuff in the apartment. With all of this, we still have to go through the whole process to get them evicted, and that's one thing that's super frustrating about evictions is, they really try to give the tenant the, advantage in these situations just to make sure they're not being taken advantage of by landlords. But now we're out a ton of money. When I heard how crazy this tenant was and this situation was, I thought, man, there's no way we can't go and at least record this situation so that people can see like a worst case scenario. I don't have before pictures, but we had this place looking incredible. Like brand new carpets, nice paint, very clean kitchen, and I'm hoping we can get inside to show you because from what Jason said, the place is a total mess and a total nightmare. But if people don't have money, they don't have money. And so you're never going to see that money again. And so there's still stuff that we can try and do, but it's a pain because now we've got added legal fees, we've got all of these other things. we're probably not going to see a dime, but I think people still view us as maybe a savage for kicking someone on the street when we've tried so hard to be patient and do things the right way. Evicting someone for doing a bunch of crap is actually a lot harder if they're still paying rent. The easiest way to get an eviction is if people are just not paying. Now, obviously, if they're like large criminal charges, I would imagine that it wouldn't be too hard to get them out. Best case scenario, I feel like we get there, I kind of hit it off with the guy, even though he's pissed that we're kicking him out of his place. And we can pull the chairs out of the back of my truck and sit in front of his property and just have like a nice little interview, just get his side of things. Worst case scenario, there's like the worst case that we just don't get in and he comes and yells or he just doesn't answer at all. Or there's the really worst case scenario, which, I mean, that's just up to your imagination, which I'm hoping nothing like that will happen.
Should we get him like a Coke or something?
Maybe. I don't know. Probably not a bad idea.
Let's keep rolling. Should I hop in the back?
I would. Here, let's just keep it rolling.
Yeah.
And hop out here and get in. Hello, hello. Is anybody here? Hello, is anyone there? Hey guys, we're coming in. We just wanted to make sure no one was here. Is anyone here? They literally have been stealing electricity, and I guess they must just keep plugging it in when nobody's looking. I feel like someone has to be there because all the doors are open, so I can literally see into the basement. So it's weird because the water was left on, and I have no idea why. You can also see that they were still hooked up to electricity up front. So this is like the mess that they've left out right now. I think they're trying to move out. Yeah, it was just open right when we got here and it looks like nobody's there. Hello, is anyone here? All right, we're coming in. We're not going in. Oh, I don't want to go in. One, I don't think we can, but kind of see it's just a freaking mess, holes in the wall. So both doors are open and I've yelled down in it. They're saying like no one's there. Would I be allowed to go in? Like if it's a safety concern, could I call the cops and just say, hey, like we came to check up on them moving out. No one's here. The doors were open. The water was on. I don't know. I guess there's a chance someone could be downstairs, but I know they have kids and it looks like no one is here. No one was responsive or anything. But so that's my dad. He's a lawyer here in Idaho, and he thinks we could call the cops and have them come just because no one's answering the door. It's a safety concern to leave both the doors open. I'm going to call Jace first and see where he left off with the cops.
All the time.
Really? So have you ever tried walking in when they're both open? Like, what would happen?
Yes. I walk around the side and see if I can. They broke that window, so they put a big pillow in it. I could look in there and see if someone was sleeping or something, you know.
Oh, okay. And there's a way to like peek in. I just wanted to interact with them, though. So I just called Jace. He said we could do, like he's done it before, where if no one's answered for a while, you can do like a wellness check and call the cops, and they'll just come, they'll knock on the door. If no one's there, then you can open the door and you can go in just to make sure like no one's dead in there or something. And that's free. You don't have to pay, where there's so much weird stuff that you'd have to pay for. But there's just so many weird rules to protect tenants, and it's just a total nightmare, and that's why you can get stranded forever trying to get through the process. Because even now, we've got like the eviction notice. If you evict them and they haven't moved out, you've got to pay for a moving company to come get rid of the crap. You've got to pay for storage units to keep the crap until they find a new place. You've got to pay for all kinds of garbage. And so even though they're way back on rent, we have to pay a court fee of $169 for each of them to file it. You really hope that you can find a way to scare them enough to just get them out on their own. Because literally, if they play their cards right and people hide so that they don't get served, like we had an issue with them doing, I mean, you could live in a place forever just by continuing to dodge. And they really have a big portion of the control, where for us, it can end up being a total nightmare. And that's why with Jace, these suck for him, because he's the one that has to deal with all that. I feel like if we call the cops, it would be like catchy for YouTube, but I didn't want something like that. I really wanted to be able to sit down and talk with them and just get their perspective of things. So I think we let it go, and we just try and come back tomorrow before they're supposed to be out and just say, look, we really want your perspective. We want your side of things. We want to hear your experience, what your frustrations were, all of that. Before we do that, though, let's go walk around the property and see all the crap we can see from the outside. So first off, you can see they're literally stealing electricity from the upstairs tenant, and they've been complaining about it forever, but they just keep coming and plugging it back in. So this is ridiculous. I want to see if there's someone we could get a hold of. Oh, dude. That's the worst thing when you have a property and it smells like a property that you're like, oh, I'm in the right place because I'm going to get a killer deal on this property because of how it smells. And now my property smells that way. So I think that was the other broken window. So when I got here, they literally just had the water running, and then they've got all of this garbage back here. All of the windows have been broken by them, and in the eviction hearing, they were complaining about how we haven't come to fix the broken windows that they've broken while being on drugs in the process of going through not paying their rent. With all of this crap here, we got a super pissed off call from the owners there that came and complained. They found my information and called me up, and they're like, hey, your property looks like crap. And we're like, well, it just is like this now because we literally are trying to get the tenants out, and it's their garbage, and supposedly they're moving. But I guess Jason said it's been like this for a while. What can you do to prevent a situation like this? And the truth is just try and find good tenants. I mean, if you end up with crappy tenants, you just got to move as quick as you can to get them out, because the longer you let them get away with crap, the more of a mess it becomes. And so it's all about picking good tenants and having good processes. And my management company does an awesome job, but you still miss the mark every once in a while, and then you've got to deal with this nightmare. I think anyone that owns a larger number of properties at some point is going to have to deal with an eviction. It's just part of the game. Sometimes you'll get tenants like this that literally think they're in the wrong, that you're trying to kick them out when they haven't paid for months. Where there are other people where some of our past evictions, they literally just show up and they're like, yeah, I didn't pay rent, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. Like, that's it. And a lot of times it doesn't even get to that point, because why would they let it get to that point? They know they're not paying, and so they just leave. But this one's been a freaking nightmare.